Imagine this. You are sitting with a group of friends, and everyone starts telling funny stories about their past. One friend says, "Yesterday I went to the park." Another says, "Last week I was cooking dinner when I burned the rice." Another laughs and says, "When I arrived at the cinema, the movie had already started." Do you notice something? They are all using different past tenses: past simple, past continuous, and past perfect. And if you want to join the conversation and tell your story clearly, you also need to know how to use these tenses. That's why today we are going to dive deep into the world of the past in English. And by the end of this episode, you will be able to tell your stories with confidence and with the right tense. Let's start with the past simple. This tense is your best friend when you talk about things that are finished. It is the most natural way to describe what you did yesterday, last week, last summer, or 5 years ago. For example, yesterday I visited my grandmother. Last week I played football. 2 years ago I traveled abroad. Simple, direct, finished. A common mistake many learners make is forgetting to change the verb. They say, "Yesterday I go," instead of "yesterday I went." So remember, past simple usually takes the second form of the verb, like eat becomes ate, drink becomes drank, take becomes took. Let me give you a funny story. Yesterday I cooked pasta, but I forgot to add salt, so when I tasted it, it was so bland that I almost cried. My friend said, "You call this pasta? I call this punishment." We laughed so hard. Now look, all the verbs here are in past simple: cooked, forgot, tasted, laughed. They are clear steps in the story, one after another. Past simple is perfect for this type of storytelling. Now, let's add some phrasal verbs to make it more natural. Yesterday, I woke up late. I got up quickly. I put on my clothes. I ran out of the house. But then I realized I had left my homework on the desk, so I turned back, picked it up, and finally caught up with the bus. Doesn't it sound more real? That's because in English, phrasal verbs are everywhere, and when you use them in past simple, your English sounds alive. Now let's move to the past continuous. This tense is used for actions that were in progress at a certain time in the past. For example, I was reading a book at 8 p.m. She was cooking when her friend knocked on the door. They were playing football when it started to rain. Past continuous paints the background. It describes what was happening around the main action. Let me tell you something. Last night, I was brushing my teeth when the lights suddenly went out. I stood there with toothpaste all over my face, staring in the mirror, looking like a ghost. I couldn't stop laughing at myself. Here, the past continuous is was brushing, was standing, was looking, while the past simple is went out. That's the perfect combination: background action with continuous, main event with simple. Another example, I was walking to school when I saw my teacher. Walking is the background. Saw is the main event. Without continuous, the story feels flat. Without simple, the story is incomplete. Together, they give you a full picture, a scene that feels alive. Now let's go deeper into the past perfect. This tense is for actions that happened before another past action. Think of it as the past of the past. For example, when I arrived, the train had already left. She had finished her homework before her mother came home. They had eaten dinner before the movie started. The structure is always had plus the past participle. Had left, had finished, had eaten. Past perfect makes your timeline very clear. Let me give you a small story. Yesterday, I arrived late to class. When I entered, the teacher had already explained the lesson, my classmates had already taken notes, and I was the only one who hadn't done anything. So I sat down, nodded my head, and pretended I understood everything. But inside, I was completely lost. Past perfect here shows that all those actions happened before I arrived. Explained, taken, done. So if we compare, past simple is for finished actions, past continuous is for actions in progress, and past perfect is for actions that happened before something else in the past. Let's put them together. Yesterday at 7 p.m., I was studying for my exam. Suddenly, the power went out, but luckily I had already saved my work on my laptop. 3 tenses, 1 story, and everything is crystal clear. Now let's talk about common mistakes. Some learners say, I was go to school, but that's wrong. After was, you need the ing form. So it must be, I was going to school. Others say, I had went to the shop, but that's also wrong. It should be, I had gone to the shop. And don't forget, you don't always need past perfect. Sometimes past simple is enough. Past perfect is only for showing an earlier action. My advice, practice every day. In the evening, tell yourself what you did using past simple. Then add 1 action in past continuous, like I was eating when the phone rang. Then add 1 sentence in past perfect, like I had already finished my homework before dinner. This daily practice will make you feel the difference between the tenses, not just know the rules. For example, yesterday I watched a movie. While I was watching, my cat jumped on the TV, but I had already given him food, so he was just being naughty. Look, 1 sentence, 3 tenses, and even a little comedy. You can make your own examples like this. Funny, simple, natural. So remember, past simple gives the events, past continuous gives the background, and past perfect gives the earlier actions. Together, they are like a time machine for your English stories. Once you master them, you can tell any past event, no matter how complex, with confidence. Thank you so much for listening to this long episode about the past tenses. Keep practicing, keep trying, and don't be afraid of mistakes. Every mistake is just a sign that you are learning. One day, you will look back and say, I had struggled before, but now I have mastered it. That's the power of practice and patience. See you in the next episode.